on record. And so I would like to say hi and welcome to you, Karen. Thank you so much for joining me. So this is the Positive Passionate Women in Business meetup group, which is a beautiful way to network online with women from, mostly we're in Australia, but some have come from different parts of the world. And it's just, I started this little Hello You interview series so we can get to know you just a little bit more. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So I'd like to ask you 15 questions. We're going to aim for 15 minutes, but it's pretty rare that that really happens. But we'll get stuck in, and I've got, my questions to ask you. So if you're ready, let's get stuck straight in.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So the first lady I'd just like to introduce you. So this is Karen Hillen, and her business is My HR Partner, which we're going to find out a little bit more about that. So welcome, Karen. And question number one is, tell me something about yourself that others may be surprised to know about you.
When I was in kindergarten, I was on TV, and we had there was this new thing that came out in schools called the sentence maker. So, when you're in kindergarten, you're learning to write and everything, but it was about putting words together to make a sentence. So I got picked to be on the TV. For people that are around my age, they might remember Roger Klimpson, who had a current affairs type program. I was on there, and I was the shyest kid in the school. So I really have no idea why they picked me. But yeah, I still remember it.
How fun. And do you have a recording?
I don't. I've actually looked online a few times to see if I can actually contact Channel 7 and get a recording. And I sort of hit a dead end every time, but I should try and get something. It'd be fun.
Yeah, especially these days, there's bound to be archives that they're starting to put out there onto YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
And my mum was in a film in New Zealand, and when she was 17, and it took a really long time to track down a copy of it. And they gave it to us on DVD. And then just recently, one of my cousins found it on YouTube. So
wow.
Yeah. Actually, no, they didn't give it to us on DVD. It was on a video cassette. And anyway, yeah, so happy to have found it on YouTube. So persevere, because how fun would that be?
Yeah.
To be able to share with everyone. That's a great claim to fame. I love it. That's awesome. So if there was something in your past, Karen, that you were able to go back and do differently, what would that be?
Oh, I'd probably start my business earlier. I worked a lot in the public service for most of my career, and although I loved it, I think if I had my time over again, I'd make that move earlier. I loved my job. My last job in the public service was HR manager for the New South Wales Fire and Rescue. So I loved it. And although I lived in Sydney, I was actually HR manager for the north of the state. So I live in Kingscliff now, but I used to spend a lot of time up here for my job. But yeah, I think I definitely look at starting my business earlier, and be a bit smarter about the way I do it too, I suppose, like everybody would.
I think we all would be. That's for sure. That's for sure. And Kingscliff's a beautiful spot. I go up there from time to time, and yeah, isn't it magical?
Yeah, it's nice.
Especially all that work they've done along the front there with the beautiful walk and stuff. It's pretty special. Lucky you. Very nice. So what is it that you love most about what you do?
I know this sounds really cliched, but it's really about helping people. I find even a conversation I had with someone today, if you're starting a small business or you've bought a business or whatever it might be, and you've never had to do all of the HR policies, contracts, all of those sorts of things, it's really daunting. So I really like being able to help small businesses get that structure. It doesn't have to be complicated, but just so they feel like they're covered, and they can have that peace of mind of knowing that they've got everything in place to protect themselves as much as possible from big bad fair work.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because I was just speaking to someone about this very topic the other day, and it was saying that if something, they deal a lot with children in their business, and they didn't realize they didn't have a policy in place for if the kid broke his arm or got stung by a bee and the parents aren't there, and then what do? Whereas schools have all that stuff nailed. You already signed a million forms, but yeah, it's very, very important to get done. But then they were saying, where do we even go for that? Do we just write it ourselves? And there you go, clearly they come and talk to you.
Yeah, and look, I suppose it depends on what stage you're at in your business as well. If you're a business that has a lot of time but not a lot of money, yeah, you can write it yourself. You can do your research. You can search for templates. But if you're the other way around and you don't have much time, but you have the money in the business to be able to do it, it's much better to be able to just outsource it, like all of the other things that we can outsource, bookkeeping, VA, all of those things. It's much better to get someone who knows. All of my documents are written by employment lawyers, so I'm really confident that everything is in accordance with Fair Work Act. So it just saves you a lot of time and headaches and dramas about, have I left anything out? What should I put in it? I just give you what you need, tailored to your business.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. And what is it that you like least about what you do?
Having to make, not me personally, but having to be involved in a redundancy process, or potentially having to exit somebody out of the business. It's tough, especially if it is a redundancy, especially all through COVID. People are trying to keep things together, but sometimes their only option has been to make staff redundant, and it's hard. It's upsetting. I've had people cry. I've had people get angry. It's just the worst part, because you're dealing with somebody's life, and especially in a redundancy, their employment's not being terminated because they're bad at their job. It's just the circumstances of what's happened. So that would be the worst part.
Oh, and is
Yeah.
it you personally that has to have that big conversation?
It's not usually. I usually support a business owner or a manager through the process. But I have had one client surprise me when I got to the meeting and turned around and said, "Oh, I've decided that you're going to do it, not me." And that was a man who cried. So he probably realized that was going to happen. So decided that I would do it. It's usually better coming from the business owner, and I'm there to help and support and make sure they follow a process. But yeah, it's never easy.
Oh, bet. Oh, bet. That sounds awful. Very tricky. Oh, dear. So if you weren't doing this as your business, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be doing something like accounting or something with numbers. When I was at school, I actually wanted to be an actuary. But here I am in HR, and I love what I do, but I have a very mathematical brain. So I think if I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing something with numbers.
Did you say, excuse my ignorance, but did you say an actuary?
Yeah.
What is that?
They deal a lot with statistics. So the typical place an actuary would work would be like an insurance company, because you're always analysing statistics and numbers in relation to probabilities for events happening and things like that. That's a very, very simple explanation. I'm sure somebody would go, "No, that's not what it is." But it's basically somebody who deals a lot with numbers and statistics and probability of things happening.
Wow. There you go. Thank you very much. I learned something new today, which was fabulous. Thanks. Okay, so what has been your biggest success in your working life? What do you feel most proud of in your working life?
The fact that my business is still going, I think, is pretty good achievement.
How many years is it?
It's been about 7 years, I think. And for somebody who came out of a public service job and had no idea about running a business, my husband has run a business pretty much his whole life. So, I thought, oh yeah, that looks easy. I'll just start my business. So I think just getting to this point has been a big achievement. And yeah, I suppose just getting to the point now where I am looking to expand, where in the beginning I didn't ever want to get to the point where I needed to employ people or anything like that. Now I'm sort of looking that, yeah, I can do that.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. So I wish that I could remember the stats off the top of my head, but I was just doing this course over the last few days. And one of the things that he said right at the beginning is, congratulations for being here, because, and then he gave the percentage of businesses that fail in the first 3 years, and then the percentage that fails in the first 5 years. And it was extraordinary. So yes, congratulations and well done for you still being here indeed. So what's who are your dream clients, and what type of jobs do you like doing the most with them?
My dream clients, and they're the ones I mostly work with. So I suppose I've got a few different service offerings. I've got just a one-off thing where somebody might just need an employment contract or some policies. And that's really all they need, because they probably only have a couple of employees. But then I also have a monthly HR service. So I'm basically their virtual HR manager, part of their leadership team sort of thing. And the dream client in that particular offering is a business that wants me there because they want to treat their staff well. They want to make sure they're doing the right thing. They haven't come to me because they're thinking they're about to end up in Fair Work, or, you know, they've been scared into something. It really is the proactive clients that I love working with, because that's what I want to see. I want to see, and it's probably partially the reason I got into HR, is because I want to make sure that employees are being treated right, fairly. They like coming to work, you know, they're engaged in the business, they're happy, and all of those things, because ultimately the business owner gets more out of that type of employee.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
that's
the positive proactive ones.
We love those. That's for sure. So what challenges do you see impacting your industry? And that could mean because, you know, of what's going on with COVID, or just in general, what's tricky in your industry?
Yeah, look, I think from the point of view of being tricky for a business owner, one of the things I find business owners find quite tricky, is, what do I pay someone? You know, there are award rates, there are, you know, lots of different ways to employ people. So I find the trickiest thing, if I'm dealing with a business owner that's about to employ their first person, the tricky things about what to pay, should they be permanent, should they be casual, what's the difference, all of those things that a lot of the time people just don't know because they've never really had to know. And I suppose there are some challenges with COVID. I think that once JobKeeper finishes, I think we'll see some businesses really struggle, unfortunately, because, you know, JobKeeper's been great to keep businesses being able to employ people. But I think there are some businesses out there that's the only thing that's keeping people employed. So I think if, you know, look at places like the travel industry and even hospitality, I suppose, to a lesser extent, things aren't just going to switch on after JobKeeper finishes at the end of March. So I think that's going to be really challenging for a lot of businesses and employees.
Look, that's so true, isn't it? And there's two things that I just thought while you were talking then. And one of them is that I've got a number of clients that are local to the New South Wales far north coast, and they've really had problems with getting staff and they think largely that it's because of JobKeeper and Job Seeker, and that it's made people not as hungry for the work. So they're really hoping that that's going to change, and they will have, you know, find it much easier to employ people, or have people to choose from to employ. But the other one is that I listened to this great podcast on Friday morning, and she was talking about, you know, as we all often talk about, is how important it is to pivot and look for the opportunities and all of that in your business. But this one thing was, she'd gone to this restaurant And, obviously all hospitality has been so affected because they've got to have their numbers of people that can be seated and all of that. But this particular restaurant had just taken it to the next level, and they had organized picnic baskets. So they had a park across the road from them. So you could, there were still people dining in, but obviously few and far between. So you could go there and pay your top dollars. Like, it was an expensive restaurant. Pay your top dollar, and your picnic basket was completely made up for you. And you took your rug over and you found a beautiful spot where they have no distancing issues, numbers. And then you have paid a deposit for your basket. So then when you finish, you take it back with all the dishes in it and everything, and then off you go. And she said how wonderful it was to see a business thriving because they'd found a way to reach people in a different way, or to cater for people in a different way. And I thought, yes, very, very clever.
Yeah, that's great. And I think what you said is really true. And I'm hearing that a lot too in relation to getting staff is hard. And I think there is that element of, JobKeeper isn't still not something I'd want to live on. But, if there's a choice of, I'm on JobKeeper, it's, got that extra, supplement or whatever it is at the moment. If I'm getting this amount for staying at home, or I'm getting $100 more to go and work, people are making the decision. And one of the things that I found a lot in the beginning of JobKeeper, employees were actually saying, because I didn't understand, oh, no, I don't want to come to work. I'm getting JobKeeper, so I'm just going to stay home. Trying to explain to them that it's actually not for you to stay at home. It's a subsidy to the business to keep you at work. But there really is, I think, that mindset of a lot of people where it really is that thing of, well, it's not the business money, it's government money. So why should it make any difference to you? Not really understanding that the reason that it's there is to keep people engaged at work and to help businesses get through this tough time. So, I think that will probably be a positive when JobKeeper does finish and JobSeeker is less. I think it will spur people on to go out and work. So I think that will be a plus from it.
It's always good to look for the pluses, isn't it? And see what positives will come out. But yes, certainly we've been lucky in Australia with lots of things around that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So what did you want to be when you grew up?
You know what? I didn't really have anything in particular that I wanted to be. I suppose for a little while there was the actuary thing. I wanted to be a maths teacher. So all of these things around numbers and figures. But look, I left school, had no clue what I wanted to do for a long time. So I was never one of those kids who said, this is what I want to be. One of my best friends, she's a teacher. She wanted to be a teacher her whole life. Never really had that. So, but I love where I am now.
Right. You know what? It's such a thing, isn't it? As a kid, those kids that are absolutely adamant. I've got a friend who wanted to be a nurse I probably met her when we were 9, and she still is a nurse to this day and loves it and always knew it was her path. And I think, wow, what a gift that is to just know inside you exactly what it is that it's meant to be for you.
Yep.
There you go. So if you're an animal, which animal would you like to be?
Wow. I got asked this question a little while ago, and I think it was quite surprising what I came up with. And it was a lion, because I'm really protective of my family. That really resonated with me. Maybe a dolphin, because it'd be great to be swimming around in the surf all day. But yeah, what I really came to was a lion, because I'm very protective, as I said, of my family, especially my boys.
Yeah. Did you love The Lion King?
Yeah, it was good. I'm pretty sure I took the kids to see it. They're not babies. My baby's 31.
Oh,
so, yeah. So probably a lion. I know it's a weird thing, but
oh, that's wonderful. Very strong, powerful creature. Fabulous. So what about if you're a movie character? What movie would that be in, and why?
I'm not a big movie watcher. I can't sit still for long enough. Um, oh, wow, that's a tough one. I love Audrey Hepburn. So maybe one of her movies, Breakfast at Tiffany's, or yeah, something like that, where yeah, it was a bit of fun.
Isn't she fabulous in those
She's just
outfits?
gorgeous. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
other
what
one I
about,
loved. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say the other one I loved was Sabrina, that she was in.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I love that film too. Glorious. Luckily, my daughter loves old films also. So I've been able to go through them all again and again, which
Yep.
is wonderful. So if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
Um, I love living in Kingscliff. It's really nice. We've only been here a couple of years. So that would probably be one of the places. I love Paris too. I'd love to go and live in Paris for a while. Um, Bali as well. We spend a lot of time in Bali. I've been there 12 times. So yeah, spending a few months there, maybe a few months there, a few months in Paris, a few months back here at home would be a
That
good
sounds
mix.
pretty good. It sounds very good to me. So we're up to question number 13 already. So what does being a positive and passionate woman in business mean to you?
Look, I think for me, I'm a positive person, always have been from as long as I can remember. So, being positive is just part of who I am. And I think passionate as well. Like, I really am passionate about what I do for businesses and really like to see that I can help people. And I suppose, you know, having that combination and being able to hopefully be a role model for people and yeah, spread a bit of positivity and love to everybody.
You're awesome, Karen. I love that attitude. So what are you most proud of in your personal life?
Oh, that's easy. That would be my two beautiful boys.
Oh,
So yeah, they're yeah, like I said, my baby's 31 next week, and my eldest has just turned 33. So I'm really proud of them. They've grown up to be really lovely men. They've both got good jobs. They're kind. You know, they're just good boys. So
what
so
more could
that's
you
probably the
want?
thing. Exactly,
What,
exactly.
than
Um,
raising kind boys or kind
yeah,
men? That is really
yeah.
precious. And
I
whereabouts do
love.
they live? Are they anywhere near you?
One of them's in Suffolk Park,
Oh,
so not
yay
too
for
far.
you.
Yeah, and the other one's in Cronulla, in
Oh,
Sydney.
still in the same state though. That's
Yes,
something.
yes.
That's good. So our 15th and final question is, what's one tip that you can share of how you stay positive when things are challenging?
Oh, look, for me, that's easy because that's just the sort of person I am. I always see the positive in everything. And it's quite interesting. Quite often, my husband and I will have conversations, and he's not a pessimist, but his attitude will be, oh, like I'll think about all of the things that could go wrong. And then if it goes right, it's great and it's a surprise. And I'm sort of the opposite. I'm like, well, you know, the glass is always half full, and you know, you can always find positives, and think positive, and you know, think that things are going to work out. So it's, I don't know, it's a bit of a weird question for me because that's just the person I am. I'll always see the positive. I'll always try and see the good in people. Always try and work out, you know, the best of a situation. So that's easy for me.
That's so awesome because I tell you what, it isn't for everyone, that's for
I
sure.
know.
But
Yeah.
having that way of looking at the world is such a gift. So
Yep.
how
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. So thank you so much, Karen, for sharing 15 minutes
That's
and
okay.
answering 15 questions with me. It was great to have you sharing that with me. It's just a pleasure and a privilege to have you in the Positive Passionate Businesswoman group.
Thank you.
And I'm really glad that we'll be meeting up again very soon. I think our meetups come 4 a week this time. And we've got an amazing woman that's joining us talking about speaking and presenting ourselves online and in person and all that. So that'll be fascinating. Angela,
great.
Carol, I'm looking forward to that. So I look forward to seeing you there. And for all of you that would like to connect with Karen, if you have a little look in the original post, you can see the Facebook, the Instagram, the website, and of course the business name, and even Karen's personal Facebook there too. So you can catch up, hang out, ask some questions. And Karen, I will be catching up with you myself, because just talking to you now made me realize I've got get a few ducks in a row with my own business. So that was very good, a very good reminder. And I think it's hard to know where you go for those kind of things. So
yeah, it is. And look, I have a 10-minute discovery call that's free. So for anybody who might be thinking that they've got a question and they don't know where to go, I'm always happy to have a chat.
Brilliant. If you can share that with me, then we can put that into the caption as well, and people can book in. Or is it on your website?
Yeah, it's in my website and it's in the brochure that's on my website, but I can share it with you as well.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a treat to spend this time with you.
No
and
worries.
I hope you've got somebody who's cooked you a beautiful dinner that's waiting for you.
It is. It is.
Lucky you. Oh, awesome. All right. Well, I really look forward to seeing you soon. And again, thank you so much for joining me.
No worries. Have a good night.
You too. Bye, Karen.
Bye.